Hey, it's Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com. And it's Tuesday, it's October 13th. This will be our chart lesson for today. And real quickly, if you were looking for a chart lesson yesterday and you couldn't find it, that's because there wasn't one. Um, Even though they had regular trading hours yesterday and didn't have the holiday hours, it was Columbus Day here in the U.S. And it looks like most of Wall Street took the day off. The volume was extremely low. There wasn't much movement. And so I just closed up and took the day off. And so there was no chart lesson. There wasn't much to talk about. Not a whole lot of trades today, to be honest with you. Um, but we did have some good movement today. Early on, it looked like it was just simply going to be a trading range. And we did really spend the entire trading day in a range. But it was large enough that, there's a nice trend working up and then a nice trend working down. So um, so you can see the clear trend, and there's a midline in this one as well. Go ahead and put that back on there. But I'm going to back out and we'll talk about the trades. Be pretty quick tonight. There's not much to talk about here. There weren't a whole lot of trades. Show you what I saw. Talk about a few things here. Make it just a little bigger. But early on, we were working down. We had a break here and a move to a new low. But a lot of times when you get these overnight breaks, you don't know for sure if they're real. So it looked like we were going to have another retest of the low here. You can see that there's a little channel working down right there too. And we had a break. We tried to go lower once. We tried to go lower twice. There's like a failed second entry short there, but I don't think you want to go long there yet. But when we get this next failure, I definitely like it to the long side because it's like a double test of that support area across there. But let me back up again first. I missed this trade here that we had. And let me explain this one to you. Move that out of the way. We're working down. We get a move up, we move down, and we tried to go up again, and notice it couldn't get above this trend line right here. And so that's like that. It's really just almost the same thing as a failed second entry long. And if you went to a smaller chart, you'd see it. But when we turned right back down instantly there, at that point, this was the low, the last couple of swing lows. So there's enough room to get out. And notice we went right to that level before we bounced. And so I like that for a short below this being your signal bar. And again, I'm basically treating that like a failed second entry long. And again, if you went to a smaller chart too, you would see it. But I liked going short right there, thinking that we'd test these lows for sure and maybe even make a new low, but we didn't. And then notice how we bounce there. This one's good for a scalp, nothing more. And so then we turn down, we bounce, then we come back and we test it again. There's really a failed second entry short there, but we broke higher before we turned down. So I didn't like, this wasn't really, you couldn't really treat this like a failed second entry long because it went out the top first and then turned down, so we didn't get the failed break lower, and it didn't go back out the top again. So I think you're better off just to wait, and then when we tried to go lower again and we bounced at that same level right across there where the blue line is and turned up. Now this is like a double bottom, so you can treat this like a failed second entry short. You got a little more room to play with there, and it still doesn't go anywhere. You get a few ticks, you get your trade triggers, and it pulls back. Generally, I would say this is where I like to add on, but I didn't like adding on there because now we're kind of in a trading range. So just kind of hang on and see if you can get out of this one, and you would have it scalped out, and then guess what? It pulls back and it ticks lower again, and now you got that triple bottom with a higher low. This is like a breakout pullback long. Let me go ahead and draw them. You can see your highs across there and your lows across there. There's a little trading range. This is like a breakout pullback long, and So I like going long right there. And if you were still in your other trade, you could add on right there if you liked. And this turns out to be a pretty good trade. It kind of takes off. You probably would not have got a runner on this one though. You might have got one on this one if you used the limit order to get in, but you didn't have to do that. But you could have waited on it to break higher and then dropped the limit order a little further back in there. And then you might have got a runner. But it's kind of sad that we didn't catch a runner on any of these. Um, then it turns down again. This one actually should be marked green here, and I'll go back and explain that. But the fact that this thing wasn't taken off, just, I wasn't crazy about taking that as a trout. But notice that there's all these matching lows here, triple bottom. You can treat that like a new low. So there's a first entry, pull back, and then a second entry, it fails. And they are about two perfectly measured legs. So if you want to be aggressive, you could go long there. Would have worked. And you could have ridden this all the way to the top of the channel before it pulled back. It was really tempting here to go long, and technically you probably could make this a green one too, because you got all those matching lows and that little failed break lower. This is a key entry point right off that trend line, but it's the first entry. It's not a real strong, there's nothing bullish there. That's the first break of that little trend channel working down. There's just a lot of reasons to be leery of that trade. But if you saw the matching lows and a little failed break lower, there's some reasons to consider going long there, thinking you at least come back to here, but this just shoots right on through. So again, I'll probably give it a green one, but I'll be honest with you, I didn't like it, and I just sat there and watched it. And your better entries here. Notice that you get a new low there, and you get a first entry, you get a second entry, and so you can treat that like a failed second entry short and go long right there. Also, it's a repeat pattern. Notice right here, it's right off the EMA, which is another key entry type point, but it's a repeat pattern. It's a little bitty bar, so I like going long there. It's a fail, and this is a new low, so it's a failed second entry short. You could really treat it like a two-legged pull back to the EMA. There's one leg back, correction, second leg back. There's multiple different reasons to like that trade. So that's a great one to get long on. And then it pulls back right here and turns back up. Notice, though, that there's like a triple top right there. I'll be honest with you. I struggle with this one. This looks like a great signal bar on my chart. Somebody else sent me their chart and asked me about this one. They had a bearish bar right here. It looks similar to mine, except all of this was red right up in here, and it closed back down in here. So definitely I wouldn't take that long. This one was tempting, but I'll just be honest with you. I watched it go. I didn't take it. It's too close to those highs, and most of the time it's going to tick up there and fail and give you a better entry. And this time it didn't. And that's what makes people struggle with this stuff. But the rules tell us that's not a very good entry. So don't take it. Just wait. You'll get a better entry than that. And but if you want to be real aggressive, it's like a double bottom pullback. The problem is you just got to go long right into all of that resistance right there. And it's just not worth it in my opinion. I think you're better off waiting. Notice you get a failed second entry short and a second entry long there. Or it's not a second entry long, it's a first entry long counting off the highs, but it's a failed second entry short from down here. First entry, pull back second entry. And so looking back at it, we weren't back to the trend line. It is a pretty nice bar there. So looking back at it, I'd probably give that one a green one after the fact. Obviously, it's a whole lot easier to make these decisions once you know what's going on. But earlier I did not like it, and there's not a whole lot of room. If you let it break higher and come back and got a limit order in here, where you got enough room to get out, I'm okay with it being aggressive. But then it turns back and bounces and takes off again. I like this one. Again, it's close to the highs, but the reason I like this one is because it's almost a repeat pattern again. And so for that reason, I was okay with you with taking that. And plus, it's a second entry right off the key entry point, and everything is taken off. So since we'd already seen it work over here, I felt like it was worth taking here. And you can see that is almost a perfect repeat pattern of this little move right here. And look at it go. Most people recognize, hey, it's a repeat pattern. It's probably going to work. And then of course we get into the overnight highs up here, resistance. So you definitely don't want to be risking that in here. There's a breakout pullback long here, but I don't think you want to risk it. Because really the overnight high is a little bit higher than that. I just had this because it was a measured move from down here. And so that was what I was looking at as my target, and notice that we went a little bit higher and then we reversed. We never really got a break of this channel, but that's because the range was the bigger pattern at the time. But there's still another clue. Notice the overshoot twice up here, and then and a lot of times when you get an overshoot, you don't get a retest of the high, you just get a reversal. And that's what we got right here. So kind of interesting. But notice here you got the reversal. There's a second entry short there, but I don't think you want to risk that one. You're getting a little bit of support on the EMA. Just wait. And then notice what you do here. You get a first chance to go longer and then a second chance. And what I liked about this short right here is there's these matching highs across here. You can see that. And it breaks higher and fails and turns down. It's kind of a it's kind of a neutral bar. So you might want to use a limit order, and it would have come back here and filled you. But I actually like entering this one because it's like a double chance to try to go longer right there. You've had two measured legs down. So this is almost on a bigger pattern. This is a failed second entry long. And we went through the EMA. We pulled back. We tested. And notice how the lows were down here. So that's telling me either we've overshot here or this is probably two-tiered, and it turns out to be a two-tier. So I like going short there, and it's doubtful, depending on how you entered that, it's doubtful you would have scalped out before it pulls back and gives you this big bearish bar. And so if you're still in, I like adding on here. This is one of those where you like to double up, and it shoots on down here and it pulls back again. It gives you a little breakout pullback short right here off this double bottom. But I don't really like, there's not a whole lot of room left right here. I really thought it would take on off here, and it didn't. So this is getting a little suspect now when it didn't go very far here, and then it bounces short. So I think you need to wait on a second entry, which comes right here, and you also get it right off the key entry point. Notice that those first two swings give you the set the channel up or set the trend up, and then this pulls back and tests it. So this is a second entry short. It's okay just to use a stop right there, but if you want, you could let this one break below, and then try to get a little better entry. But I think you would have got left behind on this one, and this turns out to be a super trade here. It shoots all the way down. That's what I thought would probably happen right here, and when it didn't, that's what made me real leery of that entry. You got to get a little better entry than that, and you don't get it till over here. And this would have been a first entry, where this is a second entry too. So, but this is right off the key entry point. And look at that thing go. Boom. And where does it bounce? A perfect measured move. I may not have this quite right. It's probably more like that right there. It's a perfect measured move down as far as the two-tiered channel. And that's how you would have had this line already there, by just getting a perfect measured distance from there to here. There's a second entry short there. I don't like it. It's too close to that low, and we just came off the low side. But then you get a second entry here. Notice it makes a new low, pull back first entry, pull back second entry. And that's a fairly bearish bar. It's right off the EMA. So I like that one. You got enough room to scalp out. It pulls back again. And so now you get a double top here. It's really close to the trend line. It's a real bearish bar. your trigger point is really the break below here, but I don't really like that signal bar. But when you get another one like that, just go short below it or let it break below here and put your limit order where this one would have triggered. And that turns out to be a pretty good move, but it still bounces. And that gets you into the 2 o'clock hour. Let me just look at that one. That one's real close. That one is so close. It is a second entry short. If I was still trading and, it wasn't the 2 o'clock hour, I'd give that one a red one right there, because notice the new low, pull back first entry, pull back second entry. It's a pretty bearish bar. It is right there at that 2 o'clock hour, and we just continue to go lower the rest of the day. But this is late in the afternoon after 2 o'clock, so I don't think you want to take any of those trades. So there weren't a whole lot of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Well, there's still 11 trades there. That's kind of small compared to what we've been getting lately. But there's 11 trades, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. There's about 4 green ones. There's some others in here that might qualify for green, but I didn't mark any of them. I just think they're too borderline. So, but in the end, it was still a good trading day. It's an easily recognizable uptrend and an easy recognizable downtrend. And so while we're heading up, you only want to get long. Then when we're heading down, you only want to get short. And this is where you got to be careful down in here when you get close to this low where we bounced, and you can tell that was a trading range until right here we had a little breakout pullback short and we pushed it a little lower. So good trading day. All you need are 1 or 2 of these trades each day to make a pretty good living doing this. So just a reminder, when you get in here and you're not so sure, just be patient, because it won't be long. Something will come along. And if you're just patient and you don't force trades and you wait on the good setups, they do come along. And, I get people have a hard, that's where people really struggle. It's not so much that they have a lot of trades that fail, but they force themselves into bad trades, and then those bad trades don't pan out, and that's what gets most people. So just be patient, don't force trades, wait on the sure things, and it makes it a whole lot easier. So anyway, hope you had a good weekend. If you traded yesterday, I hope you had a good day, but there just wasn't much going on yesterday, and very low volume, very few bars, very few setups. So I'd forgotten about Columbus Day Friday, but I was probably going to come in anyway on Monday because there was not a shortened trading day. And you never know. Some days, you might, especially if it's not a shortened day, you still might get some pretty good movement. But we just didn't get that yesterday. You can see what we had there. I mean, you can see how short that is and how few bars and how little movement compared to today. Here's the close yesterday and the open. So we got all those bars today, where yesterday we only had that little, and you notice that we didn't really move a whole lot. So it just wasn't worth hanging around for to me. So if you did trade, hope you had a good trading day. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow, though. I'm going to wrap it up for today. This is Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.